60 players, 1 arena, 1 who will emerge victorious. Welcome to my Minecraft Hunger Games. My name is NotAYoutuba, and today we will find out whether I survive or whether I get sent back to the lobby. I start out by running away from spawn because I can find better loot somewhere else. And then I find the closest tree and quickly cut it down so I can gather some stone and get some stone tools. I needed to craft these tools quickly because I could tell that there was enemies nearby. I saw a nearby cow, so I killed it quickly just in case I found diamonds for enchants, and then I started smelling blood. And just like that, I had taken down a player before the mining phases started, giving me a player head that would help me out while fighting battles later in the game. With the mining phase having just started, I decided to dive down into the mines. First, I grabbed some iron. And then, I grabbed some coal, so that I could make the smelter's pickaxe. I continued to dig down, and then I found a mine shaft that led me deeper. I found some redstone quickly, so I considered making an area's blessing, but I decided that having the head would be better. At this point, I had found enough iron to make full iron armor, so I decided to gear up before PvP enabled. I continued to mine for a little longer, found some more iron, redstone, and lapis, but I couldn't find anything else of big value, so I decided to head up. With PvP now enabled, I began the search for my second target. To my surprise, enemies may have been much closer than I first imagined. I locked eyes with my target's back and approached carefully. With the intent of ending this player's game, I jumped into the hole, risking my life for the kill. I swung as hard and as fast as I could, but as my health continued to drain, I barely made it out alive. Now that I had secured my second kill, I took a second to look through all the loot and make sure I wasn't missing anything good. Here was the new loot pool: diamond sword, mace, 59 wind charges, gap, 3 player heads, 2 sharpness books, and 2 potions of healing. But the fight may not have been over. I just heard somebody above me, so I'm gonna block up and dig down. After making sure that nobody was chasing me, I decided to take a second and chill, and then head back up to the surface. After resurfacing, I figured that now would be a good time to sort my inventory a little bit and get my mace and wind charges ready for the next fight. I also decided to craft an anvil and then put sharpness 2 on my diamond sword, giving me a much better chance at taking down future opponents. As I finished combining my sword, I saw a player running towards me in the distance who had much better gear than me, and I decided that I didn't want to take this fight. Right after leaving him, I spotted another player that seemed to have better gear than me again, so I tried to avoid him. But this time, he wanted to tussle. However, I still didn't engage because I wanted to be smart about picking my fights, and I felt like if I took this, I wouldn't be the one with the winning hand. After running for a couple minutes, I made my way towards 0-0 and spotted 2 names in front of me fighting. I decided to make my way towards them. He tried to run away, but I stayed back and guarded the loot in case he wanted to come back and try and sort through it again, which he did, and after whiffing my first 2 wind charges, I was able to land a solid mace hit. After landing that hit, he decided to run away and eat a head to heal, which rendered it basically impossible for me to kill him, at least for the time being. I continued pushing forward and tried to land a few bow shots on him. At this point, I should have just stopped and turned, but I kept going, and I made a fatal mistake that cost me a lot of health. After disengaging, I took a second to craft some more heals because I was running really low. I saw a player approaching in the distance, so I quickly hid behind a cactus just to stay out of his line of sight. In that moment, I decided to myself that I wanted to try and sneak up on him from behind and take advantage of his health before he could recognize that I was there. I dealt a nice mace blow, damaging 11 hearts, but I couldn't take him out, and everybody went their own ways, creating a 3-way split. I decided to try and re-engage with one of them while we were being shot from our third party. With my opponent on the run, I held my mace and wind charges in hand, ready to take him down with just one blow. There was just one problem. My opponent wasn't going to let it be that easy. With the third party closing in behind me, I had to decide whether I wanted to turn or take out the guy in front of me. In the end, I decided that my original target was going to be the victim of my mace today. But that third party, oh no, he wasn't going to let my original be the only victim, was he? For the time being, he's going to decide to run away, but he will be back. I went back to grab the loot and got a head and the legendary weapon that the player had crafted. He didn't go far, so I decided that I would try and charge him now. To be met by yet another third party. I decided to set my sights on the new player now since he was the closest to me. But then I realized that I was really low on health, so I decided to eat the only remaining head left in my inventory. Now that I was all out of heals, I knew that this was all or nothing. So I launched myself into the sky and took him out with one fatal blow, quickly grabbing his head and diamonds. After securing that kill, I had enough gold to craft 1 golden head as well as 2 golden apples, giving me much needed heals. After all that fighting, I only had 7 wind charges remaining, so I decided to conserve them and my mace until the final fights, as well as craft my golden nuggets into gold so that I can make 1 more golden apple. And lastly, I finally had enough to make enchants. Up until this point, I was only full iron armor with no enchants. Now I can finally get enchanted. After fully enchanting, I was able to snag a Protection 2 chestplate, Protection 2 leggings, and Protection 1 boots. And oh my god, who is this guy? As this player came out of nowhere, I was heavily startled and decided to fall back a little bit before charging in for the final kill. After killing Leslie, that gave us 5 kills on the game, with 5 players remaining. Even though I was still only full iron, I felt like I had a pretty solid chance of pulling out the victory in this one. And as soon as I thought that, I discovered a whole body laying on the floor, including a head, ready for my taking. But before I knew it, there was already another player on my ass. I had him in a nice combo, and from there, I knew it was over, earning me my 6th kill of the game. And then, what at this point should be to nobody's surprise, I was yet again ambushed and led upon a chase. Which ran us into somebody that we had previously met, also being one of the most powerful players within the game. With only 20 seconds before deathmatch, I was trying to survive and take as little damage as possible, seeing as I only had 2 gaps and 1 golden head. And unfortunately, I was not able to go without taking damage. I took 2 shots, dealing almost 4 hearts of damage. With the deathmatch starting, I wanted to upgrade my gear as quickly and as much as I could. Unfortunately, all I was able to do was make myself look a little bit tougher with a diamond chestplate. This was a very common issue and something that I need to work on in future games, but I kept wasting my wind charges, which I really needed to conserve for the final fight. And then here I also mistakenly enchanted my iron boots with Unbreaking 1, which was okay because I was able to get Prot 1, but it was still a big mistake. And then even here I just combined my Prot 1 boots with my Unbreaking 1 boots, so I just was wasting levels, but in the end it worked out fine. It wouldn't have really changed much, but I just need to be better about that. There's 3 players remaining, so we need to be careful. However, the border is closing in, so I'm gonna move up a little bit. After stalling for as long as I could see that the other 2 knew each other in the chat, so I just tried to take one out as quickly as I could. I had one last wind charge, I had one last hope, and it failed me. Now down to full health, but no heals. In a battle with the fate in my hands, what would happen? As I had him on the ropes, running for his dear life, his friend cleans me. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why you always bring a friend for the ride, even if it's solo.